Welcome to another episode of the Walk the Line podcast. I'll be your host, Greg Sowers, and again, I'm joined today by Jimmy Warrick. We had Jimmy on a few episodes ago, and with Warrick Hockey Advantage, also does some coaching up in Illinois and in some scouting as well for the USPHL. But just want to welcome on Jimmy. How's it going, buddy?
I'm good, Greg. Always happy to be back. So hopefully trying to make this a regular thing with you.
Yeah. Schedules are tough. Even it's the summer, we got hockey going all year round. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Again, hopefully everyone out there can pull some things from this episode and obviously keep on listening and hopefully learning from it. But I think the topic we're going to speak about today, and we briefly touched on it in earlier episodes, but it's always good when I can bring on a partner and kind of discuss it rather than talking to myself for 15, 20 minutes. So, but I think the topic of today is going to be, finding the right fit for you as a player. And now that the season's over, down here our tryouts are done for the youth leagues, but definitely more so for our kids in high school or juniors, finding the right fit. Seasons are over, it's summer hockey, showcases are starting, and just making sure you're putting, your parents or your money as a player to those, showcases and opportunities where it's going to best fit you. And I think a good place to start is the summer showcases. Everybody gets the emails. Whether it looks like it's critiqued or personalized to you, it's got your name in the subject line. But just we want to make sure our listeners out there can decipher from what's a real opportunity or what's an email that you know every person on your team received from an NA team or a junior team. Um, and so just in mine and Jimmy's example, we email was still a big thing when we played. We're not that old, but playing junior hockey, season ends, and now I have 10 emails in my inbox from NA teams and junior teams. And how do we decipher if this coach actually knows who I am, or he's trying to just get kids to his camp to pay for his team's travel and jerseys for next year. So um, Jimmy, I didn't know if you had an example or anything you want to start us off with on that front, as far as playing juniors and figuring out where to go next year.
I mean, I'll tell you, I had no, I had no experience going through this. Like my parents never played hockey. I didn't have any relatives or anything uh, that really understood the whole process. So when I was getting emails, it was kind of like you were saying. Like I was getting emails and they had my name in the subject line, or it was hello James, and we're really interested in you. And I thought, well, damn, I have a team that I'm going to play for. They already want me. This is easy. And then you come into the tryout and there's 8 teams of 20 guys, and when you come to your exit meeting, coach says you just got to be a better skater or do some basic stuff that anyone could tell me. So I think it was also funny. Even my dad got one email. Never touched the ice. Never played hockey. Well, did when he was a kid, but for like a year. And he got an email. He got invited to go to one of these tryouts. They must have thought his email was a player's email, and he came out to me. He's like, "Jim, I'm coming to tryouts." So that's the problem with a lot of these teams and a lot of these programs. It's how many guys can we get, and how much essentially the money that they're making at these camps. It doesn't seem like a lot to the player. It's $250 I think now, or maybe even 300. Back when Greg and I was playing, it was basically 200. But if you have 8 teams of 20 guys, plus you have 3 goalies on every team. I mean, it adds up quite a bit, and that covers almost a whole season's worth of travel for a team.
Yeah, and also I think, like, you go to these showcases and it's never bad to get in front of a coach. Like, you could go out there and impress the hell out of them, and something could happen. But you want to make sure you're looking at those emails, because I mean, Jimmy, I'm sure you've had it happen to you where you walk into the locker room at a summer skate and you're talking about this email you got and you're all pumped up, and you're going around the room, and the 7 out of the 10 guys in that locker room with you also got the same email. Like, that might be a red flag that maybe your entire team from last year got invited to this NA or EJ when we were playing showcase. So that's just another red flag to look out for, and making sure that the coach actually knows what you are and what you do, and was reaching out to just you and just you specifically, rather than trying to fund the team's snacks for the road next year.
100%. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's, I think the best way to do it now is if a coach really wants you, they're going to call you. They're going to be all, if you're really wanted, someone's going to be reaching out to you personally or contacting you or a family member. Like they are going to want to talk to you. No one, I can tell you from my experience in scouting, anyone that I wanted to play for any of my teams, I was not just sending them an email saying, I hope you show up at the tryout. I was going to do everything I could to make sure that the player I wanted knew I wanted them and that they would show up.
Yeah, and I think too is like when you get those emails, like like you just said, like feel free to respond, ask a question, ask anything to make sure that coach knows knows who you are. But it's also eye opening if you get that email from a team, and I highly suggest to anyone. Let's just say you get an email from an NA team, go on their website and see how many guys they have aging out, see how many defensemen they have if you're a defenseman, see how many forwards they have if you're a forward. If you're getting this email and it seems kind of like the stock template email, and they have two spots open and you're invited to their, you know, NA showcase in July, and there's going to be 8 teams there. I mean, they got what 100 kids battling for 3 spots. And I guarantee you, and like Jimmy, you're a scout. Like they have kids in mind who they want to fill those spots.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you for our team. So I'm one of the scouts and director of player personnel for the Connecticut Junior Rangers Premier Team, and even at that level, like we have a depth chart, and when we sign kids, they go into the depth chart, and then we have our list of guys that are on our board of who we're looking to go after, or who's we're possibly going to sign next, or who we're very interested in. And I mean, we know what's going on and who we want and what we're looking at by the time the season ends. It's
Right.
so especially by July, it's we're not looking for much, and I know it's the case for a lot of teams. So when I agree with Greg, where it's not at all a problem that you give the coach a call and just say, hey, where did you see me last year? Ask specific questions. Be like, when did what game of mine were you able to see? Was there anything you really liked about my game? Was there anything that you think I need to improve before I go to your tryout? Um, like where would you see me fitting in? Like what role do you think I could fill? Just ask any question you could to really get them on their toes. And I think I talked about it too. Um, Greg, one of the first times when I came out with you about, what you're looking for in skills coaches or what you're getting feedback from your coach on things to work on. It's the same stuff here. Like, what game did you come and see me? It was so long ago, I forgot, or just trying to cipher through nonsense answers, or like when you ask what's the best part of your game, your shot, like you got a great shot, that's okay. You want to tell me about which part about it? Is it the release? Is it my accuracy? Is it that I know how to score? Little things like that. If a coach, again, like if you will, it's so obvious nowadays, especially to know if a coach really wants you, because there's so many teams and there's so many different divisions and leagues. If you want a player, you have to go after them, and you have to express why you want them so bad.
Right, and I think it's also important for our listeners to know it's like there's youth hockey, and you're paying for that. Obviously, like you're paying for your local team playing A, double A, triple A. Even at those levels, it's a business, and as you go up and you go into junior hockey, it's even more of a business. They're selling tickets. They're trying to get as many kids to pay the coaching staff to obviously pay for the ice and the rink and everything. And junior hockey teams now, there's some out there where it's like it's 14 grand to play juniors, and it's
Insane.
and just make sure you're doing your due diligence and researching before you commit anywhere. And not and don't get me wrong, and Jimmy, you could speak to this too, but there are a lot of programs out there that do it the right way, do it for the right reasons. They promote kids, they get them into college. um, but unfortunately, there are so many teams now that they can't all be you know gold gems, right? And you just want to make sure you're making the making the right choice for your career and what you're trying to do, in the game of hockey.
100%, 100%. And I think, this was something I was going to even ask you. What is your thought on how many camps should a player attend, and at what age do you want to start doing them, or does that not matter, or what are you trying to get out of these camps in certain, like, is it different depending on the age or the player, or what's
Yeah.
your philosophy on it? Because I know I have one that may be a bit different, or maybe it's exactly like yours. I don't know. I just want to get.
Well, and I think it's obviously when we talk about it, not every path is going to be the same for everybody. But I mean, if you're going to 7 showcases or 7, NA camps in the summer, there's probably at least one of those that is you're paying for the team's jerseys, right? There's if 7 NA teams legitimately want you, one of those coaches is reaching out to you and not only telling you that they want you, but they're probably drafting you, right? You're either tendered or you're a draft pick. But I also think there's a difference between going to the uh, the Topeka Roadrunners. I don't even know if they're still around, but they're Topeka Roadrunners uh, June showcase, or going to a showcase like, and I'm just speaking locally here, the Elite Edge showcase in Nashville, where you're not playing in front of just one team. There are scouts from Division 3, NCAA, USHL, Tier 3 teams. Like, there's a big difference between going to an 8-team showcase, playing in front of one organization, than it is going to a showcase where it is a development like Elite Edge, and you're also, in front of more than one program. So it's like, how am I going to spend, my budget for the summer and allocate it in the best way possible for me? If you got $500 in your budget and you have a chance to go to, 5 $100 specific NA teams, there's that one out there that costs $100, but just for the sake of the argument, or you have 200, you can go to 2 showcases and play in front of a bunch of different organizations. 100 times out of 100, I'm saying go to that showcase and play in front of as many people as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I totally agree. I think, one of the things that, I mean, selfishly being a skills coach, I think that the summer is your time to get better. So, if you're going, like you said, let's say that someone has 4 teams in the North American League that they think they're going to make. They're going to, even if it's their main camps, you're now paying $250. Let's just say 250. So you got 4 of those. So you're paying $1,000 just in fees for the main camp. That's not including your hotel. That's not including your travel. I think it's crazy now how much you got to pay for all of it. But so now you're more than $1,000 for a whole summer, when you could be doing, like you're saying, like, you can do camps where you're developing, where you're doing skills. You can do, again, selfishly plug myself here, junior skates, but you can work with skills coaches while getting better, and maybe do 2 camp or 2 teams, asking the coach, where do you see me, really gauge what team do you feel deep down you can make. And it's obviously on the player too. Like, they got to look in the mirror and say, am I going to really make this team? Do I feel like this coach is going to really help me out? And going back to your point, like, looking at the roster, am I going to really have a good shot at this team if there's 2 forward spots and I know there's going to be 6 to 8 teams at this tryout? And but I agree with you as well. Like, with the showcases, getting in front of multiple teams, multiple colleges, I think that's a really good opportunity. My thing is, the best kind of junior team camps that I would say are, try and find the local ones. If if you don't have a specific team that you've been talking to, or you're just reaching out to teams, just go to the local, like, one that's in your town. If you have, then that's a reasonable expense, I would say, to pay $250 to get 4 games. And even if you make it, great. If not, you're playing against junior caliber players, hopefully, and you're not paying for hotel. You get to sleep in your own bed. You're not paying for travel. It's similar to just going to the rink and doing a couple skill stuff.
Right. And as you were talking there, and you run junior skates or college prep skates, and I do the same here in Nashville. And it's like, if you're tight on funds, which a lot of us are, and I was when I was playing, and it really comes down to, of figure out how much you want to spend on your exposure for the summer. And if you just hit up one showcase and pay whatever that is, and then you have leftover funds in your budget, like you said, go to a local skills coach, do a local skills skate. Like, it's great if you're going to get in front of everybody, but if you aren't, let's just be honest, if you're not playing your top game, or you're not as good as you could be, you're wasting your money, because there's kids there who are realistically going to be better than you. And why not spend those funds to actually spend those funds on your training at home, and then have your best effort in doing one showcase, and not so much just throwing money at showcases all summer.
And
So
I think we forgot too about, like, off ice workouts. Like, you got to be
mhm,
paying for, even if you don't have a trainer. If you're just going to a gym, you're paying for a gym membership.
yep.
So, that's another expense where you're paying for either a trainer, a gym membership, um, you know, whatever you need, like for workout stuff. Like, that's again just another expense. So now
Right.
when you're traveling, you're taking days off, where if you have to leave on a Wednesday or a Thursday, it's just more days that you're taking off sitting in a hotel.
Right. And so I actually had this analogy, I guess, told to me when I was playing. It's like, you're not going to take a test without studying, right? So you could take the test as much as you want. You could take it 10 times. If you don't study, you're probably not going to do very well.
Man, I
Well,
hated those
you know,
things.
you're going to the showcase, you do 10 showcases, but you're not training. Why do you expect it's going to be a good outcome? Like, do your work, prepare, train, and then when you feel like you're ready to show your stuff, that's when you go to a showcase. And I mean, there's just so many emails out there, so many teams. And I was just doing a quick thing while you're talking there, Jim, and there's 160 teams, 160 tier 3 teams listed in the tier 3 junior hockey rankings on USA Hockey for this past season. 160. It's like, you know, there's so many opportunities and so many fits for different players. Just don't go run into the team that sent you an email that has access to a Gmail account. Just make sure you're looking it up, you're doing your due diligence, and making sure that offer is legit, right? And spending your funds wisely.
100%. And I think I would tell everyone to have yourself a backup plan, even if you don't need it or you won't use it, or even if I've had so many players tell me there's no way I'm going to play tier 3. I'm going to make the NA, and that may be true, but going into a camp not having anywhere to go and playing that whole weekend with the holy crap, if I make a bad mistake, they're going to cut me, and then I have no team to play for, like I'm screwed, is a horrible feeling. And it was
Hmm.
one that I did myself. Like, I was in that same boat. I wasn't thinking straight. Like, I thought I was gonna, these teams are lucky to have me here. Like, and by the end of the weekend, when I didn't make it, I'm sitting in the car being like, holy crap, what am I doing? Like, where do I go now?
Right.
So even if you have set yourself up with the best tier 3 backup, and I can almost guarantee you every tier 3 coach, or at least what we do, like, they will tell you if you make an NA team, great. There's no hard feelings. That's
Right.
awesome. They'd rather you do that. That looks good on them. Like, you were considering coming, but obviously you're strong enough to make a higher level, and best of luck. But have yourself a backup plan so you don't need to go into a camp thinking it's all or nothing. You can play, I know some players it doesn't really work, but I would say the majority of players play much better when they're relaxed, when they're not playing tense or uptight and nervous.
Right. And we actually touched on that in a few episodes ago, of just playing your game, and playing for yourself, but doing the best you could do. I mean, that's kind of cliche, but if you put all your eggs in one basket going to a showcase, and this is your last shot to make a team, what happens if you don't? So just always something to think about. But I think you kind of touched on a next topic there of, we talk about the emails that you get, and and finding the right fit and making sure it's somewhere that you're going to excel and play. And um, that next topic is kind of not falling for these kind of empty promises. You get the coach and I really like you. You're going to be top line minutes. We like your size. These kind of cliche things you hear from coaches of again, great shot. Like we're going to use it in the power play, and then you get there and there's seven guys in front of you. They all have hard shots. They can all skate, and now you're like, okay, what am I here for? What do I do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I think that a lot of that comes down to, like you talked about, research. And what I tell everyone on my end is find players that have played for the team. Like look at their roster. The chances are, with how many kids and how many teams that are around, somebody on the team is somebody that you may know, you may have heard of, is from your town. Some way, shape, or form, the hockey world is such a small place, and with social media, it's so easy to connect with someone.
Hmm.
Just send a message on Instagram and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about playing for the team that you played for last year. Do you have a minute to talk?" And I can almost guarantee you that there's not many players that are going to lie about their experience at a team. Um, Greg knows I'm pretty open about my college career with him. I
Hmm.
I hold back on nothing of what I experienced there when any player asked me if they should go and play where we played.
Yep.
And I think good, bad, and different. Every player will give you their honest feedback. And I think finding players that put up a ton of points, and maybe even find players that didn't put up many points. Were they happy there if they weren't really playing that much? Did they have a nice culture? Was it a good culture on the team, or was it surrounded by just the top line?
Well, you're bringing up great points. The culture, right? The culture is such a big part of it. And if you look at a team, and even if you find like a spot where you think you're going to play, it's like, okay, well, if you're going to play and they went 1-43 last year, how many kids left the team during the year? Were they getting in off ice stuff? Away from the rink? Like, do you want to put yourself in that spot to be unsuccessful just to play? And if that's the offer you're getting from a team, maybe consider another route. Maybe stay home and play for your local team, your AA or AAA, or if you're aging out, maybe that's just not the best fit. Like it kind of all comes back to again just doing your research and um, you know again finding that right fit, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And I actually just got off the phone yesterday with a parent, and kid kid moved from Nashville to play in Michigan. We'll keep team names out of it. Had a good year, got hurt. He was told, and this is a U16 player, was told that he didn't have a spot on the team next year, even though he got hurt. So he came back to Nashville, and he wasn't, confident playing for the teams here. But a new coach comes in, and this coach is, has all the kids' height and weights, has their stats, and this is just in the summer. The season hasn't even started yet, and he's already sending all these kids resumes to Division 1, Division 3 schools, junior teams. And it's like those are the little things that you want to look for in a program, where they're not just trying to pigeonhole you and keep you on their current team. They're trying to move you on. And like you said, it's beneficial for you as the player, but it's also beneficial for the program that they move these kids up and on a bigger and better things. And just again, finding a program that has your interest at heart.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was going to say too, I know it sounds like you and I are saying a lot of, like, you got to do your own research, and
Hmm.
it may sound like a lot of work to some kids, but, I think that the way that players got to start looking at it is, as you get older, by your U15, U16 year, this is your career. This is your job, right?
Yep.
Like, no matter what job you have, you're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to know the ins and outs, and utilize, your networking skills, and anything in that regard. Um, I think, like, you are your own brand. So how you're branding yourself, and how you're, what position you're putting yourself in with whatever team you're playing on, or what league you're looking at going into, it's a lot of work. It's not just the on ice.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like you say it's a lot of work, and I agree, but I mean, when we were doing this, there wasn't that many resources out there, but on an earlier episode, we touched on the College Hockey Inc. and the USCHO website, and it's like a lot of that information is out there. Coaches' emails, players on the current roster, what year they are, their record, and as much work as it may seem, you could knock a lot of this out in an afternoon if you really sit down for 1-2 hours a week and just start firing off emails, asking questions. No one's gonna cut you prematurely from a team because you're asking a question about their program.
And if they did, that's not a program you want to go to anyway.
Exactly. Like, it takes a little, you know, inner drive to do those things, but I mean, that's where you got to look at yourself and ask, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to play juniors and get to that next level because I'm chasing the junior hockey dream, or am I trying to get to that next level to, use my hockey skill to get an education? For our our exceptional players out there, am I trying to get to the next level to make a career out of this and make my living and pay for my family eventually out of playing hockey? And that's the extreme side of it. But a lot of the kids, and you and me, Jimmy, we were trying to play to get into a school um, and live out that college hockey dream. And I mean, we both succeeded in a sense, but it's just like, what is your ultimate goal, and making sure that program aligns with that goal and making sure you're falling in that right spot for you.
And having fun at the end of the day, right? Like,
Yeah.
the reason why you and I are still in this game, because I mean, this is
It's
all that, I mean, this is all we
it's
know.
it's not, I mean, it's not money, Jimmy. It's not money.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, I
I
mean,
I
it's,
tell people, I mean, I think you're full time in hockey, but I tell people down here I have a full time job, but it's only to supplement my hockey. So,
I mean, I'm blessed to be full time in hockey, but I think it's, this is the only thing that I knew how to do, right?
right,
And, I know that you feel the same way, and it's there's a reason why there's good people that stay in hockey and want to continue doing it, and this is once you play it, you're the whole networking, like, it's just such a small world in the hockey community. But
right.
if you put in the most effort into it, you're going to get a lot out of it in some way, shape, or form.
Right. And I know we're kind of running short on time here. You got somewhere to be, but I just wanted to bring this up, and it kind of feeds into what we're talking about today. But again, not saying players' names or schools, but so I have a kid locally, and he's trying to decipher, and this probably goes for a lot of kids out there who are listening. We have a local college here that has a college hockey federation team, and he's also, so he could go there, but he also has a Division 1 offer from a school up north for ACHA. And again, the school up north is saying, you're going to get this playing time. It's a heavily recruited school, and he's just trying to figure out, do I want to stay home, play with guaranteed ice time, or try to play at the best level that's being offered to me, and go that route. And before you hop in, Jim, my advice to him was just like, again, what's your ultimate goal here? If you're trying to play, pro hockey, there's guys that definitely can play pro hockey out of ACHA. They play in the SP, they can, work their way up. Stuff happens all the time. So that's still not a possibility, or still a possibility, but, just trying to decipher, what the difference, I guess, between playing a ACHA D1 and having that long-term goal of, eventually getting to a spot where you're making money to play hockey, or playing back home with your friends. If you had any advice or insight on that specific situation.
No, it's funny because I kind of have the same situation with a player that's currently playing ACHA hockey, and it's similar. It all sounds so cliche, but it's similar to the junior stuff, like we were talking about. In my opinion, like, you got to go somewhere where, one, you're wanted, but two, where you're gonna enjoy and have fun. And when it comes to college, I tell everyone that take hockey out of it if you were just going there to be a student, because you and I both know, like, the hockey season, especially in college, does not last long.
Hmm.
It's a very short window. You play a lot of games and not a lot of time, and there's a lot of months where you're not even touching the ice or going to practice. Like, you're just hanging out with the team. But is this a place that I will truly enjoy being at if I'm not playing hockey?
Hmm.
Um, for me, I didn't, I went somewhere specifically for hockey. And when I was done playing and started coaching, I ended up transferring, which is, which is hard to do at college. It's not, I guess, not hard, but it's a process. It's something that's not ideal. You usually want to try and stay somewhere and not have to transfer credits and deal with that.
Hmm.
So, I'd say finding a place where outside of hockey, are you going to enjoy it? Are you going to have fun? But I totally agree with you. you know, Go somewhere where you're going to still develop, looking where players went afterwards. There's so many players that I know that have played ACHA and ended up playing in Europe and making good money to just
Hmm.
play hockey
Right.
and travel the world.
Right, and then to get that experience. And I also, in this particular situation, it's, you pretty much have a guaranteed spot at your school back home. It's like, why not? You put all this work in of, playing youth hockey. You went to juniors, you aged out. It's like you kind of owe it to yourself to give that more of a top tier program a shot. And if it doesn't work out, or you find out you don't like it, as much as you say transferring sucks and it's hard to do, it's like that lower tier ACHA spot will most likely always be there for you if it doesn't work out, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely right on that. And there's a lot of kids that I know, even in high school, they say, nah, I don't want to, I just want to go play, low end club hockey. And I asked them, like, you got up at 6 a.m. most days during the summer to train. You're putting in the work. You put in so many hours to train. Why are you not giving yourself that opportunity?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a huge part of it. Like, I 1,000% agree. That's the best point I heard. Like, give yourself that chance. See if you really could make it. Don't have any questions of what if I did this or could I have made it there.
Yeah, and and this is the last thing I'll say. And I think, if we talk about, your family and all the sacrifices not only you've made to get to where you are as a player, but the finances from your parents, what your parents sacrificed. You probably billeted. You didn't spend your high school years at home. It's like, what if it was all, that was all to happen, and then you just stay at home and do kind of what you could have done in the first place. It's not like it wasn't worth it, but it's like, take advantage of that opportunity you've awarded yourself, and make the most of it. Again, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You got the spot to go home. So um, and I think that's a good spot to wrap up. I know we touched on a couple different things about, summer hockey and showcases, and making sure you're doing your due diligence about, the showcases you're attending. But I'm sure Jimmy will talk again and touch on a few different other topics throughout the summer. Hockey's kind of slowing down for everybody down here, but it was a pleasure to have you on again.
No, I love it, Greg. You're doing amazing work. This is awesome. I like I said it every time I think with you. I love talking hockey, and I love that you're doing this for people. You're doing a great thing.
Yeah, I think this is episode 16. So I think you've been on 3 times now, if I'm not mistaken. So you're maybe twice. How many times you been on?
I
Two or
think
three?
no, this is my third. We're getting
Third.
up there. I'm becoming a
So
veteran here.
yeah, I'm a recurring guest. I'm gonna have to give you a stipend or something. But joke's on you. I don't make any money doing this. So, um, but no, we do it because we love it, right? And we're bored.
Not yet. Not yet. You're not making any money.
Right, right. Well, again, just want to say thank you, and I hope our listeners learned something from this and enjoyed it. But again, if anybody has any topics they want to hear about it, please reach out. Let me know. We'll, like I mentioned in the last episode, we'll have Justin Todd on, who's going to talk about off ice training. We've also got an e-bug that's going to come on this sometime this summer, and also a pretty big person in women's hockey down here in the Nashville area. So just hope everybody stays tuned for those episodes coming up. And Jimmy, just want to say thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yep. Talk to you later, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.